In this video lesson, we are going to discuss ratio, proportion, and then after that, solve some problems, classic problems related to ratio and proportion. So let us start with the definition of ratio. Ratio is a comparison of two or more similar quantities. So let me just put emphasis on the word similar. If A and B are two quantities, then the ratio of A to B is A over B. So when we say ratio, the operation between the two quantities is division. So we can write it as A over B, or it can be written as this one. So you read this one as A is to B. So that is the definition of ratio. Again, putting more emphasis on the word similar. So let's have example 1. Find the ratio of 7 days to 2 weeks. Again, when we say ratio, it is a comparison of two or more similar quantities. But if you are going to look at the problem, we are finding the ratio of days to weeks. So it's very clear that the two quantities being given are not similar. So what we are going to do, we try to construct the ratio between the two given, the 7 days to 2 weeks. But we know that when we are talking about the ratio, it should be similar. So what we are going to do, since we know that in a week there are 7 days, so we convert 2 weeks into number of days, and that will become 14 days. So this time, if you are going to look at the quantities, they are now similar, days and days. So after that, just make sure that since we are talking about quotient, it means that we really need to have a simpler answer, or an answer in simplest form, or in its lowest term. Since 7 and 14 can be divided by 7, so we divide each term by 7. So that will become 1 is to 2, or the ratio is 1/2, or 1 is to 2. Or we can write that one as 1 is to 2, and that's it. Second example, a rope that is 20 cm long will be divided in the ratio 2 is to 3. What will be the length of the longer part? So this problem, we are going to use the idea of ratio. So to solve problems like this, you start with letting x be the common factor. So if you are going to analyze the problem, the rope is 20 centimeters and it will divide it into the ratio 2 is to 3. So that should be the ratio. And we need to find how long will be each part, or the length of each part. But in the problem, it is more concerned of the length of the longer part. So to start with, we need to find the common factor. So that when we multiply that common factor to 2 and 3 and then add, it will result to 20. So we will have the ratio 2 is to 3. We are going to use that. But we are just going to multiply each term by x. So we have 2x plus 3x. Why 2x plus 3x? Because we are given with the length of the rope to be divided. So we add the given ratio, which is 2 is to 3, together with the common factor. So 2x plus 3x, that should be equal to the length of the rope. So that is 20. 2x plus 3x is equal to 5x, and that is equal to 20. Dividing both sides by 5, 5x divided by 5, that will give you x. And of course, 20 divided by 5, that is equal to 4. So meaning, the common factor is 4. So what we're going to do with 4 is this. Since in our ratio, the first term is 2, we multiply that to our common factor, which is 4. So that is 2 times 4, that is equal to 8. As well as the second term, 3. 3 times 4 is equal to 12. Now, if we are going to check our answer, 8 plus 12, that will result to 20, of course. But always remember what is asked in the problem. What will be the length of the longer parts? So, comparing 8 and 12, it's very obvious that 12 is greater than 8. That's why we can conclude that the longer part is 12 centimeters long. That's for example number 2. Example number 3. An angle measures 10 degrees less than its complement. Find the ratio of the angle to its complement. This is another kind of problem wherein we are going to apply the idea about ratio together with some previous idea about geometry, or specifically complementary angles. So to solve this, we are going to start with assuming that the measure of the angle is given by V. So we are not going to use X. I want to use V. V for Bianca. Now, if the measure of the given angle is V, meaning its complement is 90 minus V. Because when we say angles are complementary, it means that when we add the measure of the two angles, it will equal to 90 degrees. So, the complement of V should be 90 minus V. So, for example, if V is equal to 50, 90 minus 50 is equal to 40. So, if we add 40 and 50, that will equal to 90. So, that's why if you have problems like this, you make this representation. Again, V be the angle, the complement will be given by 90 minus V. And now, let us go back to the given, an angle. So, an angle, we can now make our equation based on our representation. An angle is being represented by V. That's why we have V. And then, next, measures. In this case, when we say measures, it is just like it is equal to. So, it signifies the equal sign. Next is, we have 10 less than. When we say, or when we have the phrase 10 less than, it means minus 10. And then, where will it be subtracted from? So we continue with the given, its complement. But what is the representation of the complement? It's 90 minus V. We have 90 minus V minus 10. Just be careful. I just enclose it in parentheses to make emphasis that this is the representation of the complement. And then this is minus 10 because it might be mistaken as 90 minus V times negative 10. It's minus 10. Now, after having the equation, what you are going to apply, hopefully, is what you have learned before, the idea about transposition. Now, since we want to find the measure of V or the value of V, we need to transpose this minus V to the other side. So that will become V plus V. And that is equal to 90 minus 10. V plus V is equal to 2V, of course. And 90 minus 10 is equal to 80. Again, V plus V is equal to 2V, not bebe. Dividing both sides by 2, 2V divided by 2 is equal to V. 80 divided by 2 is equal to 40. That's why the value of V is equal to 40. Now, since we already have that value, we put that one So that is for the angle is 40 degrees, and for the complement, it should be 90 minus 40. So that is 50 degrees. So if you are going to check our answer, 40 plus 50, that is equal to 90. But going back to the problem, it says you are going to find the ratio of the angle to its complement. The angle is 40 and the complement is 50. So we will have the ratio of 40 is to 50, and then the most basic rule is to simplify it always. Since they are both divisible by 10, we divide each term by 10, so that will become 4 is to 5. And with our powerful conclusion, therefore the ratio of the angle to its complement is 4 is to 5. And that's it. So I think that is enough for ratio. Let us now move to proportion. Proportion is defined as the equality of two ratios. So meaning, when we are talking about proportion, we have two ratios and the two ratios are equal. For example, if A is to B and C is to D are equal ratios, then the equation A is to B is equal to C is to D is a proportion, because it is given that this ratio and the other ratio are equal. So if we are going to make an equation, that equation is a proportion. So when we have A over B is equal to C over D, B and C are the means. So in this proportion, A, B, C, and D, each one of them is called a term. But this B and C are the means, and A and D are the extremes. So A and D are the extremes, but proportion can also be written in this form. A is to B is equal to C is to D. So A and D are the extremes. Now you will have a clear idea why they are called the extremes, because they are on the extreme part of the equation, while B and C are on the middle. That's why they are the means. Okay. Next thing I'm going to discuss is the cross product property. This is one of the most useful properties when it comes to proportion. It says that the product of the means of a proportion is equal to the product of the extremes. So if A is to B is equal to C is to D, then AD is equal to BC. Meaning, if we are going to multiply the means, it should be equal to the extremes. For example, 1 is to 2 is equal to 5 is to 10. So I'm just giving this example because it's very clear that 1 is to 2 is equal to 5 is to 10. Because if you are going to simplify 5 is to 10, that is equal to 1 is to 2, meaning we have two ratios that are equal. Now we are going to validate the correctness of the cross product property. So we multiply the means. The means are 2 and 5. So 2 times 5 is equal to 10. And 1 times 10 is equal to 10. Observe that the products are equal. 10 is equal to 10. So if that will happen, it means that 1 is to 2 is proportional to 5 is to 10. Or to make it simple, this equation is a proportion. Example number 4. Solve the given proportion. So when we say solve and then there is a variable, it means we need to find the value of the variable. So in solving problems involving proportion, what we're going to usually apply is the cross product property. So when we have x to the power is equal to 5 is to 10, we just apply the cross product property. So we start with the extremes. It doesn't matter whether you are going to start with the means or to the extremes. So the extremes are x and 10. The product of x and 10 is 10x. The product of 4 and 5 is equal to 20. Now, using or applying the cross product property, it says that the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes, meaning 10x is equal to 20. And then the rest is history. Apply what you have learned earlier. Divide both sides by 10. So dividing both sides by 10, 10x divided by 10 is equal to x. 20 divided by 10 is equal to 2. That's why we have x is equal to 2. And then, therefore, x is equal to 2. Example number 5. Solve 8 is to 4 is equal to 3 plus x is to x. Again, let me repeat myself. Applying the cross product property is one of the easiest way of solving proportion. So we do that starting with the extremes. 8 times x, that is equal to 8x. That means the 4 and this term, that is 4 times 3 plus x. So I did not find the product yet so that it will be clearer. Now, after doing that, we will now make the equation. The product of the extremes 8x should be equal to the product of the means, which is 4 times 3 plus x. So you should be careful with this because when you have this one, it means that you are going to apply the distributive property of multiplication over addition. So you have 8x is equal to 4 times 3 is 12 and 4 times x is 4x. Now, the rest is history. We transform 4x to the other side, so that will become 8x minus 4x. That is equal to 12. 8x minus 4x, that is 4x. That is equal to 12. Dividing both sides by 4. 4x divided by 4 is x. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So you have x is equal to 3. And with our powerful conclusion, therefore x is equal to 3. And that is example number 5. Example number 6. What value of x satisfies the proportion 2x plus 2 is to x plus 13 is equal to 10 over 9. So, the proportion may look complicated, but it doesn't change the fact that we are still going to apply the cross product property. So when you have 2x plus 2 over x plus 13 is equal to 10 is to 9, we apply the cross product property. So we start with the means. 2x plus 2 times 9. So that is 9 times 2x plus 2. So we write it this way to make it more beautiful. And for the extremes, we have 10 times x plus 13. So that will become 10 times x plus 13. Now, apply the distributive property of multiplication over addition. It means 9 times 2x is 18x. 9 times 2 is equal to 18. And that should be equal to 10 times x is 10x. 10 times 13 is equal to 130. And again, the rest is history. Transpose 10x to the other side, so that will become minus. So you will have 18x minus 10x. And transpose positive 18 to the other side, so that will become negative 18. So that is 130 minus 18. 18x minus 10x is 8x. And then 130 minus 18 is 112. Dividing both sides by 8, we will have 8x divided by 8 is x. 112 divided by 8 is equal to 14. Therefore, x is equal to 14. Now, let us proceed to our last example. Example number 7. The ratio of the male to female students in a junior high school is 13:17. Find the total population of the school if there are 715 male students. For this one, we can apply proportion. The ratio of the male to female students in a junior high school is 13:17. So we use this given, 13:17, and make sure you are doing the right equation. So be careful that the 13 here represents the male students and the 17 represents the female students. It means that for every 13 male students, there should be 17 female students. Now the problem is to find the total population. If there are 715 male students, I think the problem is very simple. You need to find the total population, but to do that, we need to find how many female students. So male to male, 13 and 715. So we are looking for the number of female students in that school. So we represent that by F for female. Now, we already have an equation or a proportion, so we can apply the cross product property. 17 times 715 is equal to 12,155, and the extremes, 13 times F is equal to 13F. Now, we make the equation 13F is equal to 12,155. Dividing both sides by 13, we have F is equal to 935. But it doesn't end here, because what is asked is the total population. So to find the total population, we are just going to add the male and female students. So that is equal to 715 plus 935, and that is equal to 1,650. And to end this video, the total population of the school is 1,650. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to share it to your classmates. The link, not the answer. Bye-bye.